let me tell you something. I have you ever had hold on. You might want to take a sip on this one. Have you ever had a fire and a flood in your house in the same day?
What's up, peoples? It's your bartenders, Mr. Z,
and your boy Omega.
step parents and parents alike. The stupendous Tamia West joins the bar to chat about the wonderful world of step parenting, the hardships we encounter personally and with others, some highs and lows, as well as anecdotal stories surrounding our experiences. As every episode, we want to thank all of you for listening. We truly appreciate you listening to our hearts and minds on varied and difficult topics.
Special thank you goes out to our Patreon subscribers for their support of the show. Every little bit helps us reach our goals to invite more high-profile guests and create bonus content.
And if you want to join in our conversation outside of this cast, feel free to hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at HaveADrinkCast, and make sure to use that hashtag HADcast.
Remember, this is always a conversation. If you don't agree, you want to voice your opinions, or even suggest a topic for an episode, feel free to join our Discord as well. The link will be in the description.
And please, if you like what we're doing here, share us with your friends, your family, your neighbors. I mean, heck, find ways to subliminally add our audio to all your projects so we slowly take over the world. Your referrals mean a lot to us, as that's how we gain more listeners. So,
thank you again.
And get prepared to sit,
think,
and have a drink.
Welcome to Have a Drink Podcast. Enjoy the episode.
We said peace. What's up, peoples, and welcome back to another episode of the Have a Drink Podcast, where we invite you to sit, think, and have a drink. We're your bartenders, Mr. Z.
And I'm your boy, Omega.
Hey.
And we have a very special guest, my illustrious, beautiful, talented, smart, intelligent, amazing, highly influential best friend, Tamia. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. I got Jameson and ginger ale in here, so I'm good. I'm a whiskey girl, you know that.
Oh, you're gonna be real good. Oh, by the way, she is a bartender.
Hey,
She's a legit bartender.
Yes.
So, introducing another bartender.
Yes.
Legit.
Yes.
Well, you got to get in our bourbon exchange this year.
Oh yes, I would love
Yes.
to. I would love to do that.
So tonight we are talking about step parenting, about the joys, the sorrows, the good, the bad, the ups, the downs, the ins and outs of being a step parent, especially being a young step parent, and as well as being step parents to adult children. So this is kind of going to be running the gamut of everything from having young stepchildren to adult stepchildren, and just all of those different aspects of it, as well as from the male and female point of view. We're bringing this up because if you don't know, all three of us are step parents in some way, shape, or form. And so we, Zia and myself, we were talking about a few days ago about some things, some trials and tribulations going on within a step parental situation. And I was like, this would be a great episode to talk about. I mean, we hear all these things about parenting, but nobody really talks about being a step parent. I mean, I'm sure there's literature out there now, but it's like in our community, we don't really know about it. So when people do show it, either on television, other things, it's always the negative side, the negative aspects of step parenting. But there's really some beautiful parts of it. Yes, there are some bad. Yes, there are those moments that you're going to hear the "you're not my parent," "I don't have to listen to you," and the fights with the ex significant other and all that stuff. But there are those joyful moments that are there. So today we're going to talk about it from the points not only as parents but also as children of step parents. So we have a very fun and interesting show. So thank you guys for joining us. Tamia, before we dive into that subject, tell us a little bit about yourself so the audience gets to know who you are.
Okay. Well, like you said, I'm amazing. Um, so many different reasons why, but a little about me is I
Big
actually
facts, by the way. Big facts.
um, I guess, well, a little bit about me. Like, my background really is healthcare. Been in healthcare for a while, and then we needed to take a break, so I decided to become a bartender, and that journey was great and amazing. I did that to get out of the house because I'm a stay-at-home mommy now, and I have now being home with my kids. Um, I've definitely learned a lot about myself. I've learned how patient I am, so I can add that to my list of characteristics. Is extreme patience. I know you're making that face.
Who is this? What have you done with my best friend? Extreme patience.
I've got a lot of patience. Probably the biggest thing I say I would have to share with everybody is I love being a mom. You know, there's a lot of things I love in my life. I'm active. I'm an athlete. I love to dance. But I love being a mom, and I just recently got married, December 17th, to really my soulmate and my other half. And we are a blended family of 8. So we have 8 children between us, and being a step parent is great. It's awesome. It's not always easy. Like you said, oh, it's not easy, but I love it, and I wouldn't change it and have it any other way.
Y'all heard her correct. She said
Said 8.
8.
Have 8 beautiful children.
Wow.
Um,
8 of them
they range
things.
Yes, 8. They range from age 25 to twin boys who are 7. There's a set of twins in there.
You just
Mhm.
like my family dynamic. That's all. And for those of you
Yes,
that don't know what I'm talking about, I have two sets of twin younger brothers. And yeah, I am one of 10. So that's why I'm
yes.
saying this. She's met my family. She knows what's up.
That's what I was striving for.
Got to
Oh.
create your own team, man. You quit playing ball. Now you got to create your own balling team. I see it.
I have my own team right now, so I mean, definitely basketball. I got a squad right now for sure.
Hey, there you go. Let's go backwards a bit. We talked about the what the future has brought you, but let's go backwards to where it started, because as what was mentioned before we started recording was the fact that you came from a blended family as well. You have step
Yeah,
parents.
my family upbringing is amazing. My parents, both of my parents, divorced when I was around 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old, and they still remained tight. And honestly, I could honestly say pretty much the best of friends. Um, they were best friends to begin with. They were dance partners, and it's just they're meant to have me, and I think that was about the extent of it. And then they each went on to spend their lives with amazing, amazing people who became my step parents, and my stepdad and my stepmom. And I just remember growing up being in this really awesome, amazing, loving, blended family of, my both of my dads really getting along well with each other and having a good relationship, and both being there for me in my lives. I, like mentioned, I played sports, played basketball, and growing up, I can't really remember too many times where I looked in the stands and I didn't have 4 parents there.
Mhm.
I had my senior night, some of my teammates didn't even have one parent. And here I am being walked down on my senior night playing ball with 4 parents. So that's where my foundation came from of what family means. It looks different to everyone. It is different. What a family actually looks like is so different depending on your situation. It's not this cookie cutter thing where you have your mom and your dad and they stay together forever. Unfortunately now that's not the world that we live in. And being an adult and growing up, and oh, I know you can relate to this too. It's, you know, sometimes they're meant to come together for one thing, and that's us. And then now we're this great, amazing blended family because, like you said, Missa, it takes a village, and that's kind of creating that village. So that was really my foundation, was having such a great blended family for me. Really, showed me how to be a great step parent. My mom, even though my dad passed away 12 years ago, like I shared with you guys before, my mom and my stepmom have a relationship, you know, with each other. And it's beautiful and it's great. Um, they really showed me that being in a blended family, especially being the woman in the family, and unfortunately, I can honestly say my species tend to get a little jealous. It's more of an insecurity thing, I think, dealing with the ex-wife or the other baby mama, or there's this insecurity that we have as women. And we have to turn that around as women and extend it from the love from our children needs to go from our stepchildren to their mothers. And when you can adopt that mindset, I mean, it's really powerful how strong we become as a village and how our kids turn out, and communicating. And my kids, some of my kids and their relationships with their mom, with their biological mom, is not that great, and they do have a better relationship with me. And instead of turning that around and badgering their mom and putting their mom down and trying to just boost up my brownie points, I want to help them be a better parent to our children, not their children, not my children, to our children. And I think that's really missing right now in a lot of blended families, and it's unfortunate.
Did you say some real spit right there?
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I can't say that mine was that positive growing up. Growing up with a stepmother, all I saw was the negatives as a child because I was fed negative information and seeing negative things happening when I was present. So I never really was able to fully give her the full opportunity to be the stepmom that I could have benefited from.
Hmm.
And that's very terrible to say, but it's just like when you're hearing it from both ends, nothing but negativity. When you see things and it always seems to be in a negative light, you're like, maybe I shouldn't like this person, you know. And for years, I just didn't have that relationship with her, And I do have to say, like, she was never truly mean to me. She was never truly vindictive towards me. She was cool. Um, she talked to me. Like, she would share things with me. She would talk, like, do little things with me or for me, but it was never really too negative towards me. I would hear things, but it never happened directly towards me. But as far as my other siblings, my older siblings, it was all bad from what I see from the outside, or the stories I would hear from my father, it would be all bad. Or the times like I've been at the house and he had to be escorted out. He had to leave and spend the day doing something else out of the house. Imagine waking up and seeing that happening. You're like, what happened? So it's just like there's so many little different things that it was hard to grow witnessing, but not realizing that I don't get the full scope because I'm still young and I'm not in the household at that full capacity to know what's going on. And it's crazy because now, as an adult, as a man who is now married with his own stepchild, having that relationship was very important. So I started to understand and I try to appreciate and try to understand her point of view for things as an adult now. And then when all my siblings got together for the first time since my father's funeral, which was the actual first time we all had ever been under the same roof at one time, period, we all came together and we actually had a great talk together as a family. And that was my opportunity to see reconciliations happening from my older siblings to my stepmother, and to see myself and be able to say, I'm sorry. I never gave you that chance. I love you. Let's start over, to have that opportunity, because I feel like it was very necessary for her because she came into a not a good situation. you know, my dad had being married before, and then my dad being in another relationship with my mother, and then going from that to her. So it was kind of like a Jerry Maguire situation. You can't be alone. you know. But yeah, man, I wish it was better as a kid. I have positive moments, but I can't say the whole time was positive just from the outside looking in.
That's tough, and you look at the impact that it had on you and the way that it affected you being so young. And I have been very fortunate to be a witness to your relationship with your stepchild, and I definitely can see that you want it to be different. You're going to do things differently because you do not want her to ever feel that way. You're going to try and keep the connection. Sometimes it's really hard, depending on the situation that you're coming in. Not all kids are open to having this new parent in their life. And especially, I have a lot of boys. I have 5 boys. And they're at that age right now. Like I said, the boys range from 7 years old to 14. And I can say two of them, their relationship with their mom it's a little rocky. But you have to come in really trying to establish trust, and with trust comes a level of respect. You can't come in just trying to be a dictator telling them what to do, because then you're going to get those comments like, you're not my mom. You're not my dad. um and then you look at them and you're, what can you say? Because the truth is, okay, yeah, I get it. I'm not technically. So for me, what's worked for me and my approach is I listen. I just I listen. I really, really try to create a safe space and a safe place. My husband and I both do for our kids, to where we're doing a little more listening than we are talking, because they just got to let it out sometimes. I mean, here's the situation. You guys know this. You go to pick them up, right? Now, prior to you picking them up, it's a very typical situation. There's been text messages back and forth between the two parents, not doing homework. They're not listening. They're talking back. So now you're picking up your child from, from their other parent with all this, and they're coming in. And the first thing, we do, especially when the kids get in the car, we're like, what's up? How are you doing? Oh, it's okay. I mean, we just try to focus on them. And then as time goes on, hey, we'll get to that. But it's hard. You guys know how it is. They're coming from their other home with, they're not doing this, they're not listening, they're talking back and blah blah blah. And it's like, man, okay. So you still, it's hard. You got to balance. And it's hard. um Especially dealing with rules in the house. you know I don't always necessarily agree with some of the rules in the other home. That's definitely another thing too. I'm like, my parenting style is a little different. I'm open. My husband and I really believe in expression. We let our kids really talk and vocalize. What may be talking back to somebody else is not talking back to us at all. We really do talk. Um, so that's really hard too with those rules. I mean, how do you guys deal with that, if any, especially, I know when she was little, and I know you have the two. So what's that like for you guys?
Can you elaborate on your question a little bit more?
Just talking about the different standards, I guess I could say, in
How do
each.
you handle the different standards?
Yeah, like let's say you get your kids and they're grounded at one house, and what they're grounded for, you don't really necessarily agree with, you know?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so I guess for me, because like I said before, I have a bio son and I have a stepson, and both I consider my children. What usually it's funny that you should say that. When my bio son Ian, when he goes over to his mom's house, he gets in trouble. He just did. He comes back, he got his switch taken away. Here, his tablet's taken away. We try to keep rules and things consistent. Um, as far as for my other son, like when he goes to his other parents' houses, I'm like, do you mean he got something taken away? He never gets anything taken away. It's like it's the rules are different because the parenting styles are different, I guess is the best way I could put that. I mean, what kind like Omega said it, what prompted this conversation was him and I having a talk earlier this week of just of hashing out frustrations in dealing with the different parenting styles. And really being in that place of like of butting heads because, one side may feel like the other is being extreme in certain responses or just handling different situations. So yeah, I mean, how I've handled it, like I said, with my child's mom, his bio mom, like it's really easy. I mean, it's grown from a place that started off very stressful, like it off top, like was very stressful, but we grew. I mean, and that's, I mean, where the focus is at, especially, like if you're giving respect, you get respect. Like the phrase, take money to make money, you got to give respect to get it. But like for the other one, that's where I draw the difficulty, like actually being the step parent and trying to like manage, because I mean, I couldn't, I'm thankful for the stepfather that my other son has, because our communication is great if something's going on. um my other son's biological father, when we have a conversation, usually I try to put into practice what we do here on the podcast, of giving space, listening to and listening to understand and not to respond. That's difficult when oh, Megan knows. That's difficult when Papa Bear takes over, because I get very protective of my children. And I said children because it's not just one child that I Papa Bear ignites over, because it yeah. And yeah, that's when it's sometimes you just kind of like lose that, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, um yeah.
Now, to dive in on what both you guys have actually brought to it is, for me, I haven't really encountered that too often because my child never really has the situation where she gets in trouble, especially over there. So it's like she goes over there and then he would say something slick to her or something that would hurt her feelings, or that would not make sense to her, and she'd come back and ask us and talk to us about it. So she always knew that she can come home and talk and have that space to gain better understanding, because just that side just isn't quite put together well, you know. But she always felt like she had to help. And I'm like, you got to remember, you're the child. That's not your place. You are the child. It is not for you to save them, it is for them to save themselves. You are the child. Now that she's an adult, she still kind of feels that way, but now she's like, yo, I'm good. I got to do me now. You had your time. You didn't live up to the expectations that I set or that I had. So that's on you, you know. But to go back with what you were saying, Mia, is like I gave her the space to speak freely, and I let her know that dad is here to talk. Like, and that's why I love the saying that I learned. God gave me two ears to hear. So I listen twice and only one mouth, so I speak once. So I try my best to listen to her. And then I really take some time to digest it, and then I'll let her know. And that's why our relationship is where it is today because of that. And I have been the one that really tried to help her to harness that relationship with her biological dad. I'm the one who was really pushing that relationship. Talk to him, reach out to him, have that conversation, try to understand. It's like he may say something because he doesn't get it. Well, this is what he may have meant, and try to smooth things out because I get it. Us as parents, we don't know it all, we ain't got it all, and we're not going to do it always right. But maybe somebody needs to advocate not for him but for her to but to help that relationship. Now, after time, he went from shooting himself in the foot to turn that off. And this dude is hobbling with no legs now. He just done messed himself up. To where I'm like, there's no saving you, brother. I'm sorry. Ain't no more life vests over here. You done took them all. So, with that have been said, I didn't have to really help the discipline. It was just more so the explanations of her trying to understand what is going on his end and trying to salvage what was there, which is now no more non-existent now.
I know your situation is definitely, you know, with her was different. Um, Now, question for you guys: do you have any difficulties with your stepkids' biological dads? Do you deal with any kind of insecurities with them on their part? Do you deal with any jealousies from them on their part, that their kid is, I hit something on the head, didn't I? That your step kid likes them more, or has all these things to say about you when they go back to their house, and or that their relationship is better with you. Do you guys deal with that from the dad's perspective?
Oh Lord, that is so funny you say that. I'll just say this. I'm gonna try and keep mine short and sweet. I went from your mom's dating that black guy, and my daughter immediately, mind you, she is at this time 7, no, 8 years old. At this time, 7, 8ish. Her words back to him is, "What black guy? You mean Quadrant Anthony?" So she already was like, he has a name and you know his name. You've met him multiple times. You know his name. And yes, so that right there is already letting him know, well, who's this guy with your mother? Why does it matter to you? You left my mom X amount of years ago. Why does it matter? Type deal. And even now, it's like, I don't think he has that competition. I think there is that competition, but he doesn't show it to me because it's null and void. It's like, bro, you dropped the ball. I picked it up. I'm running with it. You were behind me. And whatever relationship you're trying to have with your daughter, I'm the one salvaging that for you. You're messing that up. So there is no competition. It's just, it is what it is. Like, my kid literally told me not that long ago, she was like, because my biggest issue was her having daddy issues, because I'm seeing that and I was worried about that. And she kept telling me, I don't have it. I'm not going to have it. I don't have it. I never understood it until one day she said, Dad, I don't have it. I've had a dad. And I'm like, oh shit, you're right. I was here. Why would you have daddy issues? So I was like, nah. But when he sees me, he's cordial. He's got nothing to say. And if he does say something slick, I ain't got no worry about. So we good.
Uh, Z, what about you?
um
Yeah, Papa Bear. How about you?
um yeah, there. So basically, yeah, I deal with the other father's insecurities. Like I said, parenting styles are very different. I chose to be one, he happened to be one.
Let that breathe. I chose to be one. He happened to be one. Thank you.
Yeah, like I've been in my other son's life since he was 1 years old. For the first year of his life, his dad basically just claimed that he wasn't his, for the first year. Like, just was adamant about it. Not mine, not mine, not mine. I don't know. I just remember being in his life from that, like, since I feel like he could develop some memories, because like I have hundreds upon thousands of memories of like reading to him the same book, like of good night construction site. Like, we have videos of him he ended up reading the book to himself off of memory, because of what I would do, because I added sound effects and like all these different voices and things, and he's fallen asleep in the middle of me reading. And like, so safe to say he and I have developed like a very strong relationship. Like he calls me dad. He doesn't call me Daddy Z. He doesn't call me Z. He's I don't know if he's ever called me by my first name. Like my child has. I was like, the fuck? I was like, the
Oh,
hell?
I've been here.
So like and it has never been like you know I maybe I don't know because he's only 7 years old. I don't know if we'll ever develop that. You're not my dad, you're not my parent, because I mean I like all he can remember is me for the beginning, and then however, long he wants to be in my life, after he turns 18, whatever. Like it so yeah, like having that relationship with him has been good. It's just, yeah, dealing with his dad has been a bit more tough just because he doesn't know his child. Our we had a recent argument about expectations, especially during the pandemic, academically. And he's 7 years old, in first grade, started the pandemic in the middle of his kindergarten year. The expectation grew to be that uh he should be at a different level, like his cousin. It was something that was bubbling over. So from just like time after time of that, and me doing what Omega did, of just being there for him, just being there for my son, like just like as support, trying to foster that relationship when he goes over there, because as O was saying, you know you're gonna want a relationship with him, like try pushing for the relationship. Me, I'm like, be nice to your dad, please listen to him, don't throw a tantrum. If he asks you to do something, do it. Like, show respect, he's your father. Like, because like that's the relationship we have. So yeah.
Okay, so let's build off of that. So now I want to, because Mia's doing a wonderful job asking questions. I mean, she's a perfect fit so far.
Like you said,
Uh,
she's a bartender, bro. Like you brought the bartender onto the Have a Drink podcast. What else does the bartender do? See, that's one thing. People didn't understand why we call it the Have a Drink podcast, or why we call ourselves bartenders, because
because
who else
people
is your
always talk to the
bartender?
bartender.
Exactly. You talk to your bartender. Your bartender is your therapist, your listening ear, your shoulder to cry on, your person to get you drunk.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
if we could cut hair, we would be the barbers. We would
Hey,
be the hair. We would be the shop.
You know?
I'm telling you, like I said, I'm a good listener. I can make
Yes,
a good cocktail and I can listen.
ain't that the truth?
Yep.
So here's my question. Let's talk about being called mom and dad. When your stepchild decided to call you that, how was that? Did they ask you if they could? Did they just automatically do it? Did they ask what do you prefer? How was that? I mean, I'm gonna let you guys go first and then I'll go last, but I just want to know that.
Gosh, got a lot of kids. I gotta remember each one. I'm trying to think of each my situation with each of. You know what? Honestly, they just call me mom. Um, I not in the beginning. Um, I didn't really have this formal conversation with them about you don't have to call me mom. You don't. I didn't have that. They just call me mom. Um, as time went on. So yeah, it wasn't really this formal thing. You know, I don't say you have to call me mom or call me Mia. Now with my daughter and my husband, she recognizes him as her dad. She says, he's more of my dad than my dad has ever been, my whole life. And she calls him pops. um Yesterday I took her. She want to go cruising, so we went downtown. Right, we're driving around downtown. She's 15, okay, and so we're driving around downtown after we dropped her friend off, and I'm taking the long way home. and we're downtown, and we got married at the glass house. And she goes, she's acting like she's this tourist, and it was so sweet because she goes, yep, and over there, that's a sap center, and right here on this corner is where my parents got married, and just her face and the way she lit up, and it was really sweet and very genuine. But that's her pops. She calls him pops. And sometimes she'll call him Nate, sometimes she'll call him pops. Like I said, Nate and I, we just got married. And but he doesn't really stress off of that. Whatever, if he wants, he said, if she wants to call me dad, call me dad. If she wants to call me Nate forever, she can call me Nate forever. He hasn't been in her life since she was little. Like the two of you, your situation definitely is different. um he came into her life, just but 2 years ago. So she has her dad. They don't see each other a lot or often or all the time. But one very interesting thing, and can definitely back me up on this, is when there is somebody in my life who is worthy enough to meet my child, and I say worthy enough to meet my child, all of a sudden her dad is going for dad of the year. I'm like, okay. And now it's really honestly to the point where she's like, all right, we'll see. I mean, for me, I say, we'll see how long this is going to last. But yeah, he's like, all of a sudden wants to be dad of the year. And unfortunately, time can fix a lot of things. But when you're dealing with your children and when you're absent, it's very hard for them. Um, Time can help that, but sometimes when they're done, they're done. And I notice that more with girls and their fathers, their biological fathers, um, more than than boys and their moms. I see it with girls and their biological fathers. If they weren't there consistently or they were kind of absent, man, when these girls hit teenagers and in high school, they're like, you know, okay, that's cool. You want to pick me up and do this and do that? I have a life now. And where were you when? Where were you when? That's the big question. Where were you when? And that's where my child is, you know, right now.
See, and that's crazy because, like you said, 15. She's 15 now. 2 years. That means she's 13. She's already a teenager, and that's how she feels with him. And that brings so much comfort to my heart and joy to my heart to know that, because as a teenager, her emotions, her everything is all over the place, and she's trying to figure out life. And to see that she can look at this man who's brought joy to her mother's heart again, who brought a smile back to her face, who's brought light back to her life, is able to illuminate and see that illumination. She's like, I want to be a part of that, Papa. That says a lot to me. And that should say a lot to anybody, especially as a teenager, because teenagers are like, I don't need you. You ain't been around. What I need to call you for? What's up, bro? What to do? That's where it could be, but that's not where she took it. She really took that, and she trusts you. She was able to trust him to call him that because she trusts you. She knows your expectations, and if he met those expectations, she's comfortable enough to let him in, and that's beautiful. You know, I love that. Z, are you gonna jump in on this, even though you kind of answered it, but I know you probably
Oh,
would like an opportunity to.
well, I mean, there was a period of time where he did call me Z. I was thinking about it like in the very beginning because that's who I was. Like it was one day where he called me that of his own free will. Like no, like this point, I mean, like he knew his dad, but like he didn't know no his dad. His dad had just seen him. Um, the first time he ever called me dad, or daddy, it was I was I was stuck. I was like, wait, what? Really? Like I didn't tell him to say that.
Isn't
And
that
his
the
mom was like, I
best?
didn't tell him to say that either.
That's just the best feeling, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just so like unexpected, and you're just like, wait, really? You see me? I feel like anybody seeing you in that role, especially someone that like that young and innocent, they're like, I see you as like my parental figure, and to have that bond as he grew, you know, like I give him the tough love, like I'll give him, the guidance he needs.
So my husband has, we both have kids that are both the same age. They're both freshmen. So we call them my and my stepson. So we call them our twins because they're both
Hmm.
freshmen, and they are
I love
thick
it.
as thieves. Those two,
I love
which
it.
I don't know. I don't know if it's such a good thing because they get
The
into a lot.
trouble.
Oh,
She
the
needs that.
let me tell you something. I have you ever had hold on. You might want to take a sip on this one. Have you ever had a fire and a flood in your house in the same day? Okay. That was me about a month ago. Someone left the water on. I got girls. There's hair in the sink. It overflowed out into the hallway. Okay. Now we're cleaning up the flood. I mean, it's all the way into the hallway, almost to the front door, especially where our bathroom is. In the midst of cleaning that up, I hear, it's on fire, fire. Oh my gosh, it's on fire. Okay. Now, mind you, my oldest kids were home. All right. So I hear my oldest child and my son, and they're screaming, they're yelling, right? I turn the corner, I see it's my toaster oven is on fire. I see this flame coming out. Because one of my children wanted to eat the bacon. They didn't wake up for breakfast, number one. So they wanted to eat the bacon that mommy made. So I'm gonna put the bacon in the toaster oven to crisp it back up. Boom, flames. Now, one of my kids wants to get a cup of water and douse it on the toaster oven that's still plugged into the wall.
Oh
Now they're yelling at each other. I got the oldest two in there. They're yelling at each other, right? And I'm like, okay, everybody just, this is where I say, okay, my patience and my me being calm.
I'm impressed already.
Like I'm waiting for you to tell me that the youngest child opened a black hole and just starts swallowing half the whole house.
Yes. So then my daughter goes, no, we got to open it up. Okay, well, you don't have to be a chemist to realize that oxygen and fire, right? So she opens it up. Boom, the flame goes out. I shut it. I said, everyone just calm down. I'm going to pick up the toaster oven. The fire's contained. Open the door. Mommy's going to take it outside. Mom, no, please, mom, put it down. They're like freaking out. This is my oldest ones, by the way, my adult children. Put it down, smother the fire out. I then after it was all done, I put water on it after the flame is out, okay, to keep it damp. My oldest son comes up to me and he goes, I just don't know how you do this. And he just hugged me and put his head on his shoulder. And he was just like, and then they actually ended up going for a walk. They were like kind of stressed out. And so they went for a walk. And she's like, I just don't know how you do this. What I learned that day was that my children are not prepared for a fire.
Yo, yo, I'm like this.
Yeah. We are so not prepared for any kind of disaster in our home. I mean, the mayhem of what was happening was just, I mean, I guess that's, hey,
My Lord, that's
it's
gold.
a typical day in my home. That's a typical day in my house. Some kind of something when you got a lot of kids.
I absolutely love it. I love it.
You can see.
I love it. This is what you get to look forward to, sir. You got two young sons who are
I
gonna
know,
be teenagers.
and they're at the same age. They're just 6 months apart. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
like
Have fun.
like our kids, our twins.
Yeah.
Those two, man, I'm telling you, those two, they're like little,
Well,
little mischievous geniuses.
Like if it's alone separately, they'll get caught instantly. But like together, masterminds.
It's gonna be like on the Zodiac killer level, that guy was never caught ever.
Bruh.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. That's funny. So I said I'll go last, so I'll make mine because I'm gonna start where I was hot. My question, then I'll move on to something else.
Yes.
Um, it was weird after we got married. Actually, that week, my daughter comes up to me and she's like, "So, um, do I call you dad? Like, what do I call you?" I said, "Call me whatever you want. You can call me dad. You can call me Quadrum Anthony. I mean, you can call me Anthony. It's up to you." She's like, "Okay, dad." I was like, "Okay." And then when she got a cell phone, my number and my name in her phone was Dad too. And I was like, "Okay." And ever since then, it's just been your dad. You're my dad. Even her boyfriend recognizes me as that's your dad. Like that's him.
You know, my my stepson Kai, the first time he called me mom, I thought it was a mistake. I thought maybe
Ooh.
he forgot where he was, or he just said it like as a reflex. Um, but then when he walked down the hall, walked up to me and to get my attention again, he was like, "Hey, mom," and I looked, and that that feeling, that I got was just like, oh, okay, he meant it. It wasn't an error, it wasn't a mistake, it wasn't a reflex. Just saying and thinking, hey, he's at home, and it was a mistake. But that was a great feeling. I think what people don't realize is when you are a step parent and you're coming into this child's life, no matter what age they are, it really is it's a privilege for them to call us mom or dad. And that's because it's gotten to a point to where you officially know they trust you, and they trust, what they trust is that you are going to be here. You are going to keep your promise to my mom, to my dad. You're going to be here. And so when you get to that level with your kid, it's great and it's really special. Now, if you don't get to that level, it may not be because they don't trust you. I think what a lot of it also is to, especially if they have a really good relationship with their parent, with their biological parent, they may, out of respect, not call their step parent dad or mom, because they don't want to make their mom or dad feel bad or insecure or hurt their feelings. So it's just kind of one of those things, I think, that just kind of has to happen organically. Either they are or they aren't. And that's their choice as a kid, something that I think, I went through, whether or not to call, my mom's husband, not, Brian, if I was going to call him Brian forever, if I was going to call him dad, well, he's my papa. This is my dad. What I think is really important too for us step parents to realize is, we at times, they may get mad at us and they may say, "You're not my mom, you're not my dad." I think the best advice I can give as a parent, as a step parent, is don't take offense to it. Don't yell back. Well, you still have to listen to me. What I think you should say is, once they say, "You're not my mom," or "You're not my dad," and you go, "Yeah, well, you'll always be my son. You'll always be my daughter. I may not be your mom or your dad, but you're my kid." It kind of takes them back, like, oh, okay. And you'd be amazed how they just calm down. If they call you mom, if they don't call you mom, if they call you dad, if they don't, it could be for a number of reasons. They could have a really good relationship with their, like I said, with their father or their mom, and they don't want to hurt their feelings. And I think a lot of times with kids, that also what it is. I think it has big a big factor is their age. You two have been fortunate. You had your stepchildren, your kids, your children since they were, I mean, little, toddler, 6, 7, 8 years old. Yep. So for us, it's different. It's just been, my daughter and I, and honestly, I was pretty much dead set and I wasn't going to get remarried, not because I didn't want to, but I just figured it it wasn't going to happen, and I would focus on that later on when she got out of high school. I'll worry about that later. But she's my focus right now. And then then it happened, and then boom, here we are, Brady Bunch. And we're blended. So it's been a really great and awesome journey, but it's been interesting also, and it's not always easy. It's hard sometimes.
Oh, that's big facts, man. It's
Yeah,
very hard, but
yeah.
it is one of the most rewarding things.
Isn't it?
And it's crazy at how much love people give when they really realize that you're really there for the kids, especially the kids. But it's like people on the outside, like when they recognize it, because being a parent in general is a thankless job, but when you have people that are like, yo, I just want to tell you, because I've had this a couple times and it really like takes me aback. I've had people be like, yo, I just want you to know I have mad respect for you, bro, for being a step parent and loving your daughter the way you do. Like, I just know you from being on from passing, or we went to school together, whatever. But I just want to let you know it's so awesome, and you're being such a great example. And all of a sudden, I'm like, yo, like I appreciate it, but I never think about that.
Mhm.
I just think about just being a dad to my daughter who needs it, because I see me and her. It may not be my blood running through her veins, but it is my child still. She has my manners, and we have the same stuff. I know her like the back of my hand. I feel her when she's hurting, when she's sad, when she's in pain. I feel it like she came for me. So it's just like those moments are very important. And I feel like some people don't get it. They think that's only biological. No, when you have a connection with the child, that's something. Step parent or not, that is something. And those children look for those connections. They need that. And that's so important, you know. To see and to hear Alanya call him dad was beautiful. Like I was like, and I literally did that. Like nobody. This is the stuff that's happening in my own personal mind and my heart. When I heard her call him dad, I can relax. You know, when I see the smile on your face, is like, okay, she's happy, she's safe. To have my daughter run up and hug me and be like, hey, dad, I missed you. Or just getting the text, dad, I love you. I love you, dad. Or I'm thinking of you. Brings so much joy to my life. To hear the boys saying, daddy, and calling him, or the joy and the excitement that they have when they, and the way that their eyes light up when they see him, brings so much joy to me, where I'm just like, he's doing his job. And oftentimes we forget about the importance of that step parent. And to all the step parents out there, you're fighting the good fight. Stay strong within yourself and know and be there for that child. And just remember, the child is struggling just like you are, because they have to. Sometimes the child is trying to appease their biological parents, and you are just in the crosshairs. So they may be going through things and hearing things from both sides, and you're just the one that's just getting the brunt of it. It may not be against you, it's just the fact that they can't make sense of it all. So just fight the good fight and understand that kids are going to grow up, and hopefully one day they'll come to their senses, as we did. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to look in this camera and say it again. I'm sorry if I ever offended or hurt you, ever. But no, I love you and I appreciate you. And even though there was a lot of ups and downs within the house, I want you to know I'm sorry if I was ever wrong. And if there was any wrongdoings that were towards us, I forgive you. And I love you. And I hope nothing but good for you.
I forgive you. Oh,
Well, thank you. Thank you. Even though I was talking to my stepmother, but thank you. I appreciate that. Because I'm actually going to share this episode with her.
I
And
know.
she has no idea about what I do.
What I think one thing I would have to say is to my fellow stepmothers out there is just stop being so petty. Don't be petty, and don't be jealous. He's not with her no more. I know that's the baby's mama, but it's just, or the ex-wife, or whatever her title is. None of that matters, 'cause at the end of the day, it's about your babies, you know. It's about all of you guys raising these human beings who did not ask to be here. They didn't. They didn't ask to be in the chaos and the bullshit, if there are any between you as parents. Don't make it hard for our these the good fathers out there. Don't make it hard for them to see their kid because you're upset with their situation. Come together and parent together as a village, and you really have to love each other. You do. I mean, you have to. Z, for you, it's honestly, it's like you said, you had mentioned the parenting styles are different, but at the end of the day, you're on his side. Hey, don't talk to your dad like that. You got to be respectful to your dad. He may not do that. He may not do that for you, as in if roles were reversed. But this is who you are, and the father that you want to be. So, that's honestly, that's what's important, and it's not easy. I see if my husband were here, he would say he has it a little easier, because we have my daughter 95% of the time. I do have a good relationship with her dad, and he's remarried and they have kids. Um, Kind of an out of sight, out of mind kind of a thing for a while. Now he's trying, and she's, but he does. He's got a little easier because he's just got the one, and I have the seven. Um, but I wish that my species, my female species, would just spend more time uplifting each other and supporting each other as mothers, than for it to be this really petty competition with each other, because our children just get hurt, at the end. And then they're looking at you like, when they find out the truth later on down the line, they don't want to have a relationship with their biological mom, who created all this drama, because they see what they missed out on. And it affects us, for us kids growing up in a blended family, our whole lives.
I didn't even get like I mean, you hit it right on the head,
Mhm.
and it's crazy because it's like I'm in my 30s. I'm in my 30s now. And mind you, I'm just now apologizing. I'm just now recognizing these things, you know, and it's like imagine, well, let me not imagine. Think about this. My stepmom has been there for 36 years now, because I'll be 36 this year.
Mhm.
She's been around my entire life, and I'm just now accepting her. Like I wasn't, again. I mean, y'all know me. I wasn't really a bad kid. I didn't do bad things. I said maybe I will say maybe in, let's just say as a kid, so in 18 years, I probably was disrespectful to her one time. And that was just when I had an outburst because my father was passing. And I was very disrespectful towards her during that time because we all were standing there and hurt. But outside of that, I don't think I've ever really been disrespectful towards her. She was cool with me, like I said, and everything else. So it was just me deciphering, who do I listen to? When you have somebody telling you one thing, somebody telling you another, others showing you things, it's like, yo, it's like so much confusion as a child. Sometimes the parents are so caught up in their own drama, they forget about the child. Don't forget about the child. The child is the one who's not saying anything, but they're recording it all mentally. Excuse me, they're recording it all emotionally. We have to be careful about these children. And I can say this with my chest poked out. I never once badmouthed my daughter's father in front of her, and I never will. All I've ever done was try to repair and push them to have better. Why? Because I know what it's like growing up. Even when she's like, I don't like him, I don't love him, I hate him, I'm this, that, and the other. You just don't understand him right now. You don't know what's going on his end. You're too young to get it now, but eventually you'll understand. And that's something else is to all the parents out there, all the step parents out there, or all the parents that have children that have a step parent in their life. Understand you have to let the child figure out their relationship on their own. Don't poison the relationships with the other parents. Don't poison that child against anyone, because at the end of the day, you're only poisoning yourself doing that. Because when they really learn who they truly are, they're going to turn on and see you for who you are. You are the poison.
I agree with that. You really did hit that on the head. I think it's really disappointing when you have parents saying and making negative remarks about their mom or dad. And what it does is all it does is push them further and further away from you. Because even if what you're saying is true, that's their mama. You know, doesn't matter. Don't they're not going to want to hear that or hear you say that, and it's negative. And they're trust me, they're going to defend. Most kids will defend their parent, because it's not okay. It's negative and it hurts them, and it will push that your stepchild away from you, hands down. It will, unless your stepchild just full out agrees and it's within a conversation that you're having one-on-one, and they're venting to you. Still, even so, I think it becomes more of a like a listening versus a don't throw more into the fire there. Just listen. Because like you said, you don't know what that parent is going through in their life. You don't live at that home. We're not there. You have no idea. It's perception, and perception is always one's reality. So what our child sees and perceives, that is their reality when they're young. I mean, all three of us right now, I'm perfect parents. I'll tell you right now, I'm not getting mother of the year, as patient as I am, but will I be maybe a close runner up? Maybe. Certain things and then decisions and choices I've made, and to not discipline in certain areas because I'm just tired. Tired maybe puts me out of the running, but I will say this: it just it comes down to just being that ear and that shoulder for your stepchild. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to be, even if you agree with what they're saying. Just try to keep it positive.
Keep
Absolutely.
it positive.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely. I mean, the other thing I would add to that would be to make sure that, like, I mean, this goes for all the parents involved in a multifaceted co-parenting experience, would be just to make sure you're always trying to have the back of the child or children. You know, it's not about your ego. It's not about my ego. It's not about your insecurities. It's not about my insecurities. It's not about you know who can run faster, jump higher, scream louder, whatever. It's about the children, the child, the life that you're all trying to bring into this world and teach how to be an I was gonna say an adult, but I guess just a larger human.
Yeah.
But
To be independent, and to be
yeah.
to be able to go out into the world and to be a good human,
Yes.
to
Yes.
be a great human being. um yeah, I agree with that. I agree.
Don't be afraid to be a nurturing parent, whether you are male or female, because nurturing does not have a gender. Like, women have been more nurturing because they are mothers. That is the biological universal, like, response, you know. But I don't feel like that it's not that with fathers or males, as well, because I feel it. I grew up with more female presence in my household, So I was able to see it modeled, but like I feel like that just was a safe space for me to be able to explore that within myself, to be able to give that, to others, and then especially to my children, of being like, I can be nurturing. I could be, don't get me wrong, I could be, strict daddy. I could be like, hey, fuck you think you're doing? Like, don't come on. I know you are smarter than that. Like, all right, let's take a minute. What will happen? I just want you to tell me what will happen, you know? And then or, right after that moment, it does it again, smash. All right, come on, come here. Like, it's okay. I know. You thought you were gonna, yeah, you thought you were gonna make it. Uh-huh. Let's go clean this up. Like, like, but I hear that is hard for some men to do because of the examples that they had in their homes growing up. The you're going to be 7 years old. Why are you crying? Stop crying. No, like that don't compute. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, I feel like because you're 7 years old is the reason why you're crying. Let's start there. But like, that's a natural human response. Like that's just toxic masculinity rolled up into denial of it. But
I think I'm like the most affectionate dad ever. I even catch myself. I apologize to my daughter. I'm like, I'm sorry. I know I probably hug you too much or kiss you too much. I know you're an adult now. I'm sorry, but just know I love you. And just think, one day when I'm not here, you're gonna miss these hugs. You're gonna miss these kisses, and that's the way I think about it.
Yes.
So I just want you to remember that. So if you're bothered by it, I'm sorry, but just understand, I know I don't have much time on this earth.
Man, you both said so much and so just so real and so raw. Z, I'm so glad you brought up that the topic of the male affection within the parenting role. Um, I'll be honest with you, one of the biggest things that I loved when my husband and I first started dating was seeing his affection with his kids, and seeing his in the boys. It's automatic. I mean, I hear them talk on the phone, we go and pick them up, it's a hug and a kiss, and there's always and I love you when they get off the phone. Our oldest son is 23, and my husband was a single dad with him and had him since he was 6 months old. And that love and that relationship and what they established, I just I love both of them so much. But I see them together, and it's still at 23 years old, it's love you dad, love you mom. He calls me mom, he hugs his dad, gives his dad a kiss. It's that embracing and that affection. And I think you're right, Z. Like you said with that comment, you're 7 years old, why are you crying? Well, yeah, don't most 7-year-olds cry? And it's just kind of, I think a lot of men do that, especially with their sons, right? It's like this hardened, masculinity thing, and you want to teach them to be a man. But being a man, you know, is so much more than this tough, hard exterior and not crying. Being able to express emotion as a man and vulnerability, I think there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's great that the both of you get that. And especially Z, you with both of your boys, they're going to be great dads just like you. They're going to be great husbands and great dads, because you're showing them this arrangement of, yeah, affection and emotions are okay. It's okay to display those. Um, and I think that's important. It's really important. And oh, like you said, you and I both lost our dads around this, at the same time. They were both 50 when they passed away, and we were so young going through that. And I think for us, losing our parents so young has really dictated our parenting, um, in the sense of, man, I can't get enough hugs in. I can't get enough kisses in. I can't, I don't want to miss a thing. It's hard to go to sleep at night sometimes. When my dad first passed away, my daughter was only 3 years old and now she's 15. And it's like, I don't want to miss anything. If I'm sleeping, I'm going to miss something. And I think we realize, oh, you and I, how that the time, how precious with our loss of time. And so now, when as us being parents, it's like, and with all my kids, with all of them, for me, it's when I see them and I have them, I feel selfish. I'll be honest with you. I one thing I hate is this whole custody thing. Like, this is gonna sound so crazy, I know, for me saying this as the wife and the stepmom. If I won the lotto and I could buy some kind of compound where we could all live on this acreage with my kids' moms and their significant others, because some of them are married or their boyfriends, I would do it just so I can see all of my kids every day, all the time. I miss them. It's so hard when they're not here and we don't have them. So it's harder, like, without back to what you said with that time, like with your baby, it's with Janessa, it's I want to hug you, I want to kiss you, because you want to get that in. And,
100%.
and Z too, even it's like your kids, your babies, you want to hug and kiss them, because when we're adults, the reality, that fantasy starts to dwindle, and the reality sets in of, we know that we will have to go home one day, and what day that is, we don't know. So we need to make the most of what we have right now with our kids. And
100%.
it's, yeah.
If we
100%.
can't prepare them for after we're gone, then have we failed? Like as
Yeah.
parents, you
Yeah.
know.
Yes. I
Yeah.
love that you said that word, prepared. I just ran a drill on my daughter. I need to prepare you. Like, I got teenagers here in the house, and sometimes we go out on a date, and I need to make sure that you're prepared for an intruder in the house. This whole fire disaster and flood day really brought a lot to light. So I make sure they're prepared, like hide in a closet,
Mm-hmm. No, that's
jump
good.
out, and scare them.
That's
Okay,
good.
yeah, that really has nothing to do with an intruder. That's just me trying to get my fix in, because they've tortured me all day in their own way. So I, instead of
Go hide
scaring
in the
them,
closet.
Intruder alert.
I
Intruder
love
alert.
hiding
Get in
in
the
their
closet.
closet. Oh yeah, and I got patience too. See that's that word. I was in there 15 minutes. It's dedication.
Mia, do you have a question you would like to leave our listeners? Like just to, for them to
Ooh,
answer in a
that's a
little.
good difference. That's a good change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well played.
I would have to say, honestly, I mean, you asking me that, the first thing that comes to my mind is, what kind of parent do you want to be? Just straight up and just to the point, what kind of parent do you want to be? Think about it.
Whether biological or step. Bars.
Yes, and to answer that question or to see any answers to the question, y'all will have to join our Discord. We'll have to get Mia up in there to be able to share her response as well.
All right. And we'd like to say thank you to all of our Patreons for all of your great patronage. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much for all of your support and being there since day one. Man, it's been a wild ride, and 2021 hasn't disappointed yet. And before we go, I do want to say rest in peace to the great Cicely Tyson. Thank you for everything that you did, the trailblazing that you have done, and just being you. Thank you for being you. And it's crazy because I've heard it a couple times and I thought about it myself. I was like, I thought you would be here forever. It's almost like you were the grandmother that we thought would be here forever.
Mm.
But you know what? It's okay because God needed his angels for you to watch over all of us. And so rest in peace to you. And Hank Aaron, thank you for all of your great contributions to the baseball and beyond. Thank you so much. You truly were Hammer and Hank, and we appreciate everything that you did. So please rest in peace to you as well. And yes, I do recognize that we do have a great voice that has gone on that has also joined the ancestral plane, and that is the great Larry King. Thank you, Larry King, for all your great interviews. We grew up watching you and didn't realize that you were still doing it. So thank you for all of your continued contributions. And Yes, so please take a moment and just give thanks to those that have passed on. And we love you guys out there.
You know, if you want to continue in this conversation outside of here, feel free to hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at Have a Drink Cast. Make sure you use the hashtag HADcast. That way we can see whatever it is you post, any of your amazing pictures, or if you have a topic you want to share with us, just let us know. Hit us up.
Oh, and how can people follow you or find you?
Well, I have my Instagram. It is Mrs. West. Thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
All right, it's about that time. I implore you all to raise your glasses. All right, kings, queens, and royals in between. I want to thank y'all for joining us on another successful episode of the Have a Drink podcast, where we invite y'all back to sit, think, and have a drink. That's been us. Peace.
Peace. You should